I mean, Trixtank just died almost immediately in that little engage outside the tier 2 tower. Both of these two teams specifically gave each other a lot of respect to start off this first game, kind of trying to feel themselves out for the most part. But I'm expecting this game number 2 to pick up the pace, at least in the early game, now that they kind of saw the development of where each team wanted to go, whether it was solo lane or dual lane to start.
Well, Mike, you mentioned it actually at the start when you first saw Dignitas lock in that Thoth selection. How do you feel? Do you think that they might have maybe prospered a little bit more with a different mage?
Yeah, I didn't really like that pick because I felt like in the top 3 of their draft, they drafted the Bellona and the Rat, and that told me that they were looking to make an aggressive kind of start on that side of the map, and they did get the 2v1 like I mentioned over there, and they got ahead. But because Zyrhoes couldn't transition over and fight with them, they couldn't do anything with it. They couldn't invade speed, they couldn't invade blue. Deathwalker caught up and then ended up making insane plays, got like basically won a 1v2, and then Rival just gets a snowball off it.
And we were talking about how Dignitas are a little too predictable, almost to a fault, because they're kind of expecting to outplay you more than try to adapt towards the enemy style. Raijin was still open, and that would be a great escape mechanism against the Odin, but instead still electing to go for the Thoth, trying to get that long artillery damage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what Zyrhoes' god pool is going into this or what he looks at, but when I say Dig's predictable, it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? I mean, it just means that they're very consistent as well. They know what they want to pick, but sometimes if you get something like that with Rival, you can surprise them game 1. You should expect Dig to pick and ban around that type of comp from Rival. Pick and ban, keeping in mind, like, oh, they like Zeus and Odin together, and maybe if they only pick one of those in the top 3, the other one gets banned out, so they don't get that combo again.
Do you think that there was anything that posed enough of a threat from Rival's draft for Dignitas to potentially ban it away for game number 2?
Not really for the top 2 bans. I mean, I think in the second phase, you probably look at target bans for sure throughout the set. Maybe if they decide that they don't really want to give Deathwalker or Osiris, that seemed to be a common ban throughout the Elevate set and Obey, but I'm not really sure.
Why do you think Osiris has been so prevalent in the EU, at least? Because NA, we didn't really see much prioritization over that.
Yeah, he didn't really get played in the LG Space Station side. I believe Trifecta banned it every game versus us. I think he's just a really good early game pressure god on solo side, and Deathwalker and Variety are both very good at it.
And so both of those guys, you'd kind of just anticipate if one of them gets it, the other is automatically at a disadvantage,
Right.
And so you might as well eliminate the risk.
And you would notice that because in the top 3 of the draft, they went for Bellona on Variety like right away to answer that, because you need a good early game god, and that made Zyrhoes pick in the bottom 2, and then the Soul and the Morgan get banned away.
Which is really interesting that he picked Bellona, considering Robin was still open. I believe Erlang Shen was still open here. He was going for the Bellona, something we haven't seen him play in a little bit of time. And normally Dignitas like to either flex pick their solo lane because they can usually plug and play it alongside the jungle, but instead prioritizing it so early on allowed Rival to kind of predict the strategy that Dignitas wanted.
Well, now for game number 2, as we take a look at the picks and bans coming underway, it's going to be really interesting to see just what adjustments Dignitas decide to make for this one.
I'm expecting some more just early game pressure along the solo lane, and that's been the focal point, I think, for both Europe and North America.
Interesting thing here, I pointed it out before the first game, but Dig actually had choice of side and took second pick. They lost the game, so they get choice again, and they actually switch it and go to first pick, and they ban the Odin right away. So that's that target ban that we were talking about.
And that's what tends to happen whenever you come down to a LAN environment. Sometimes you just see that a player or a team in particular is looking for a certain composition. And Dignitas as well also taking away that Osiris.
It's just annoying to handle, honestly. It makes it more difficult than it needs to be to gank that solo lane.
And it's interesting as well because Rival actually kept with the Chronos ban regardless of what side they were on. So they really don't want Zyrhoes to have that god in his hand basically no matter what. It looks like that'll be a target ban for at least this game and maybe the future games as well.
And how do you feel seeing Dignitas automatically lock that Kakolin?
It's just one of the strongest solo lane gods for sure. Variety's obviously very good with it. It fits their playstyle. So I think that's a very safe pick. It doesn't tip your draft too hard because he's a really meta god like we mentioned that Dig likes. So it just sets them up for a good draft.
Also has some flex options too if Qvofred ever wanted to run it from the jungle role, considering that a lot of jungle Kakolins will prefer to opt for that level 1 blink, trying to get in there, initiate, and find the multi-knockup. And Erlang Shen wasn't picked or banned in that last game, but now early picked for Rival.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. It actually is interesting that in the summer split, that was basically all Deathwalker would play. If Osiris was banned out, he would go instantly to the Erlang Shen. You see that even with Dig likely being a solo lane Kakolin, even though they could flex it, he goes it right away in the top 2 instead of choosing to pick it a little later. And then obviously the Hoyi
Do you think that there's any possibility that maybe we see Qvo try to bring out a Nemesis or even a Robin? Because we saw a lot of that from the previous split that Dignitas played out, and I'd imagine that having that Colin threat flex, or the flex threat, that it could be a possibility.
Yeah, possibly. Also, with Kalos going the Fafnir, something like a Ravana is able to be more aggressive. I think Qvo didn't really feel like he could walk at Wlfy as much as he would want to that game. He kind of had a alt to engage, but something like a Ravana or even like Kamazatsu used to play a lot. He has a better option to do more damage from range, be a little safer, and engage more often.
So the first game, actually, Rival banded away the Sylvanas, but this time around they're switching things up to take away the Artio, and that allows Dignitas to kind of get this sustained composition and maybe find some more AoE. Do you expect Dignitas to maybe take away the Zeus here?
I don't know if they'll do it with without the Odin. I think they banned Ra last game, I believe, right?
Yes.
So I think you maybe see that again. If I'm Rival, I think something that's interesting to pick up on as well is that each of the last 2 games, if Zyrhoes is not picked in the top 3, they're instantly going to ban him out of the Morgan, and it's probably going to be a Soul to follow up as well.
We've seen it a couple of times from Wlfy throughout the regular season split, but what are the odds that a Cuckoo Khan actually comes into play?
It's pretty easy to defend towers and phoenixes, so if you're more of a late game oriented composition, maybe you go for the Kukulkan if you really want to hold some of those objectives, and especially trying to last it the Wlfy or the Fire Giant. It's not definitely your meta pick, but it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if Dignitas went for it.
It does have really good objective secure. I don't know if I like it with their current comp, because I think with the Erlang that it's more likely that they're going to be diving the enemy backline. I don't know. Kukulkan doesn't really have the best peel for himself, so I feel like they might go to something a little bit safer. It's hard to tell. I think Kukulkan could be an interesting answer, especially for the objective game. Hoi and Fafnir shred objectives insanely well.
Well, Rival certainly not taking any chances and going straight for Zyrhoes in these picks and bans, at least. The bans especially, Kronos, Morgan, Soul. So putting a little bit more pressure onto Dignitas' mid laner. And now the question kind of just still remains, if you're Rival, who do you really want to prioritize next? The jungler or the... I guess your mage.
It could be the mid. However, Rival could potentially still run that Hui in the mid if they wanted to go for that flexibility. I don't necessarily predict that to happen from Wlfy, considering he kind of likes mages. Raijin was available. Interesting to see that Dignitas are still consistently banning away this Ra, though.
Yeah, I think what's interesting with the Raijin pick is I feel like that's basically telling you that each of the bottom 2 picks have to be each team's mage and jungle player. But they're obviously targeting Zyrhoes. They put 3 bans into him, and then they pick away another god. So they're really trying to limit his god pool as best they can. And he goes back to the Thoth.
Oh, look at this tier last pick for
yeah,
Dignitas.
That's GG, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's game over. We can just go to game 3. I'm pretty sure.
You think Dignitas just win off of this tier pick?
Variety's just so insane on tier. It's definitely one of his best gods.
Whenever we talk about tier, there's only a very few amount of players that we can actually discuss. Variety is one of them. Obviously, Dimmy comes to mind as well. Kabrakan last
Yeah, it's
pick,
probably
though.
a jungle Kabrakan for Qvo. That's something he used to run all the time with Orbit and Paradigm and all of his old teams. So that's really, or wait, no, that's for Ice. I'm trolling. Sorry about that.
gotta get in every now and then.
But either way, like, it's a really aggressive god. You press W. It's really good into the Thoth, especially the Sylvanas.
Could we see potentially Kabrakan on Deathwalker and Erlang Shen in the jungle?
Maybe, but I think Deathwalker is an Erlang main.
Well, you guys have already seen the picks and bans. Mike, who do you got for game number 2?
I think I like Rivals Draft again, but if Variety pops off, they'll win.
It's always going to be Dignitas from my point of view.
So you're banking on the Variety here. I'm going to toss my vote for Rival, but now we'll get a chance to see what the casters have to say.
You know what I've got to say, Ryan?
What's that, Tom?
Tier.
Yep, Variety picked him.
So
pretty good start for
can we
Dignitas.
can we get to game 3?
I mean, that's what PBM wanted, but for me, I don't really like to do anything that PBM wants. So,
That's fair.
So I think that we should play this one out.
Actually, PBM messed up on the dust. That was funny.
That was funny. It happened. I mean, it happens to every caster ever.
Everybody.
It's just the first sign of many that PBM is washed, and he can join us soon enough.
Clearly, that's the case. Game number 2, Team Dignitas versus Team Rival. In the first one of this series, Rival found their victory very quickly. Very quickly. You know, it was interesting. Very slow, methodical pace. First Blood came way after 10 minutes. 7 minutes separated First Blood and the Titan.
That's crazy. That's a crazy number. That is not a lot of time, and it was not a lot of kills. It was 2-1, and then it's actually Dignitas who got the first kill of the engagement, and then they get decided right off the bat. And all of a sudden, Rival gets end.
And like I said, they weren't even looking for the end. They were looking for a tier 2 tower. And Wlfy blows up the jungler. He's playing Zeus. And, well, the rest is history. Watch the VOD right now. Team Dignitas collapsing on Deathwalker, bringing him down to half HP as Zyrhoes makes the rotation. Playing with Thoth one more time here. I think he'll be a little bit more successful.
Ooh, Trix and Arkkyl going for the proxy between Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower. I like this with the Rom and Sylvanas, two excellent gods at clearing the wave at level 1.
We saw Obey handle that earlier in the day. Deathwalker still being beat up. Iceicebaby on the jungle. Qvofred here. An interesting choice all across the board. Very slow in the tremors. Variety getting in trouble here, but Qvofred taking a little bit more damage. Finally finds his way through. Iceicebaby in some trouble here, but so is Qvofred. Both players extremely low, and they all got to back off.
I love the idea to fight at level 1 as Dignitas when you've got a Cucullin in the jungle. Normally, we don't see Cucullins transform until level 2 because you're not generating enough rage right off the bat. There, Qvo is able to, and one of the lesser-known things about Cucullin is whenever you transform, you have access to all of your abilities except for your ultimate right off the bat because the 2 doesn't really exist in that transformation form. It's just happening all the time, but you get that extra 3, that push that allows you to kind of displace the opposition. Good idea by Dignitas to try and take that level 1 fight. Even though they were going to get out-pushed, it just kind of relying on that transformation damage for Qvo.
Yeah, and I think this is classic Dignitas as far as the draft is concerned. They're out here just picking the guys, right? Variety's here just ready to, crack a cold one with the boys. He's just going to play tier. And I don't care how much analysis you bring about the matchup or how these teams are going to play against each other. Variety tier is that wild card.
We talk about it all the time with Variety. He used to be a player that was not very impressive, and now he is the most impressive player in a lot of games. And it all kind of started around this tier pick. It was tier and it was Ymir in the solo lane that really put Variety on the map. And now that he is a premier player in the SPL, now that he is in the conversation for best solo laner in the world, for him to go back to a pick like this where he had a lot of success as kind of a fledgling star in the SPL is something to be excited about.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun just watching. I mean, as a commentator, we get to watch literally every game, and watching this is something special. Watching them come back to these picks because they're what I call evergreen selections, where Variety can play tier in any meta whenever he wants in any series, any stage, and it will be a positive. I don't care if he's against the worst matchup on the planet. He's still going to be at least relatively successful. So if you're a Dignitas fan, these are the games that you kind of hope for.
And I like that he's able to go for Blink right off the bat nowadays.
Yep.
I mean, the old solo lane meta, you had to go teleport in order to stay competitive in the lane. Now, no one's really going teleport except for no numbers on Elevate. So this allows Variety to be a little bit more aggressive with his first relic selection. Don't be surprised if we see him go for some crazy Blink Fearlesses right off the bat.
Yeah, and he'll absolutely nail them. Right now, Arkkyl abusing Vote here. Not even looking for the last hits, just trying to get all of the dead minions. But Vote able to play some cutesies there with a nice little ricochet. Trixtank comes into the lane and further threatens the Hunter.
But that's the hard part about zoning away Hu Yi is as soon as Ricochet's up off cooldown, he can tag the minions, and there's that window where even if they die to the other minions, they're still going to get credit for the golden experience. So Arkkyl not going to be particularly effective at zoning away Vote, even in the early stages.
And right there, you see, you might ask why they deviated from the strategy of zoning out Vote. Well, the reason is because red buff is spawning right about now, and that's why Team Dignitas is going to head into the enemy jungle. Rival, however, are well aware of the fact and group up as 4 to shove that dual lane away from the power buff. So red buff will be secured by Team Rival, despite Trixtank and friends' best efforts.
iceicebaby had ultimate there. Could have locked in Trix with that Qvofred ult, which has been really impactful so far today. The European team is really favoring Qvofred, whether it's in the jungle or in the solo lane. But Ice decided to hold on to it, in large part due to the fact that Trixtank's already level 6. He's got plenty of base stats going for him, trying getting him a little bit tankier in case of an engagement.
Bracken kind of came out of nowhere this weekend. We've seen, he's generally been played and then sort of dissipated, but this weekend everybody kind of remembered the Qvofred pick.
The Qvofred pick, if you will. It always seems to kind of resurface in these metas where early push is important and burst is important. And that isn't, I know it sounds like, well, wouldn't that be literally every Smite meta? And to some degree, yes, but
nice catch.
There are certain times where those parts of his kit are more highly valued, and especially when there's gods in the meta that don't get to interrupt tremors at an early stage.
Qvofred starting things off hot. teaming up with his solo lane there, getting first blood. As Deathwalker sits out for about 10 more seconds. The rest of Team Dignitas going to get rotated on by Team Rival. Push, there's a nice Fearless.
Nice
and
stun.
a stun. Mid-Fearless going to stop it. Half HP for Variety as he looks for the heal off of the power cleave. Dashes out of there. Iceicebaby taking a ton of damage, but generally going to be viewed as okay.
Man, Kalas just stepping, being just far enough back to not get swept up in that Fearless by Variety, and then having the quick reflexes to make sure that iceicebaby doesn't get juggled farther away from that minion wave. Probably not a lot of kill potential there for Qvo and Variety without Qvofred's ultimate being available, but it's more about that iceicebaby's able to get to that wave and continue to farm more so than anything else.
What I liked there was our supports both on display. Earlier in the middle lane, you heard me go like, ooh, Trixtank hit a 180 root real quick, and then that display from Kalas really cute with the backstep into the hammer throw. Just goes to show you, I mean, you know, we're here in Super Regionals. Obviously, these guys play at a high level, but watching those plays is just, you know, really a reminder of, wow, these guys are dope.
And I really like that Qvofred's been spending so much time on the right side of the map. He did earlier on in Game 1 as well for Variety, but it seems to be more focused this time around because the early game warriors like Cullen and Tyr to some extent can do so much damage at this stage of the game that even someone like Erlang Shen can't really handle that. And if you can get Variety off to a lead with Tyr, he becomes a nightmare real quick.
Here's the Fearless into the power cleave, and it brings Deathwalker down to about 75% HP. And that's just the half of the combo, right? Variety able to take a quarter of your life with just one of the combos. Kind of nice there so far. Just power boots at his disposal.
And the thing is, Erlang Shen can return that damage very quickly himself, but needs to use those Destal autos in order to sustain back up.
Variety can go for the flank and start a fight if he wants. Deathwalker zoning him out there on the right-hand side. So Gremlins being split is all gold, pretty much even. 200 gold separating teams. Nothing worth talking about. Everybody really looking for a big lead, but nobody able to find it so far.
Qvo's rage management so far this game has been really, really good. That's the hardest thing about playing Cullen is having the rage where you want it to be at all times. You don't want to end up transforming and using that while clearing a speed buffer, clearing fire elementals with no one around. But you also have to be able to jump up in that transformation very quickly by just hitting one person with your ultimate, one or two people maximum, in order to get that transformation. Qvo right there, the big reason why Rival disengages is because Qvo is right on the cusp of transforming, and that means that it's going to be that much harder to fight him. So as soon as Rival decide they want to disengage, Qvo vents some of that anger, drains some of that rage, and keeps it ready for whenever he needs it.
I mean, look at where he's sitting right now. One hit, and he's going to become the big boy. So, Team Rival playing it safe here. Kalas was looking for a stun, and I think if he hit it, his team goes in. But he doesn't, and it's no harm, no foul. So those are sort of the free opportunities you get, and you generally always want to go for them.
But this time, but by this time in the game, Trix is already a much harder target than he was initially. I mean, how many times so far this week have we seen Sylvanas picks dominated in the early game, and then that kind of starts to falter a little bit as the game goes on. Once you reach the mid game, even the early mid game, all of a sudden that Sylvanas becomes a little bit too hard to bring down. Once Wisps is maxed out and he's getting more protections while that heal over time is going off. Once he gets some levels for that HP per level and the items in order to give himself some protections, he becomes a real nightmare to try and focus down. And the fact that Rival haven't been able to do that so far in this game means that maybe Trixtank is never going to be the focus for Rival in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Rival, they've got nice control. If iceicebaby finds a trap, I think they cut the tree down. But if you're not going to get him in the Kabrakan ultimate, I don't really think Rival commit too hard to the Sylvanas.
I mean, you need to commit too much already at this point. We're talking Kabrakan ult. We're talking Kalas has to transform to try and make sure that you can continue the CC chain. It's going to be a lot in order to make sure that you're able to stick to him and bring him down.
Look how greedy this play is coming out from Zyrhoes, building the Warlock Sash after the boots here. And only 30 stacks so far, comparatively speaking to the 60 stacks. At 60 stacks that Wlfy has, he's ready to fight and he can contribute. 31 stacks on the Warlock Sash, you're still kind of wishing you had a different item.
Same thing that Zyrhoes did in game 1, where it's in that third slot, but it's just because he sold some items in order to put it there, and it really started off with the uncommon sash, just as Wlfy did. But just like in game 1, Wlfy is significantly ahead when it comes to the stacks. I don't know if Wlfy is sharing less waves in mid. It doesn't feel like that to me, with their XP being pretty similar in the mid lane.
Variety taking a ton of damage. He's going to be taunted on in. Ultimate going to be getting away, but Deathwalker, the heal is good. Not going to chase underneath the tower. Cullen coming through during that team fight in the jungle, or just the 1v1 fight in the jungle, rather, looking to chase Deathwalker out of there.
And that's with both solo laners having a Gladiator shield, but Deathwalker kind of utilizing it a little bit better. I know that he has less abilities to proc that Gladiator shield with, but just having that first ability for Erlong Shen makes his boxing potential so high that even with a little bit of physical defense, with a little bit of physical power, it gives him those opportunities to trade and get his sustain more regularly than even Variety will be able to, between the power cleave heal and blue stance for the tier, and healing a little bit off of all of those ability usages with the Glad Shield.
So far, Qvofred, our only contestant, with a kill in our 11-minute game number 2. Team Dignitas, not much of a deficit here. Team's basically even. And looking at the experience, pretty much the same story. About half a level for Qvofred, thanks to that kill that he got for First Blood. But that's about it, folks. This game 2 is neck and neck early on.
And it's the only real gold difference is in that jungle as well, where Qvo is up about 600 gold in the jungle right now, in large part due to that First Blood.
Kala, smelling blood, stuns out Qvofred, but the rest of the team playing it safe, does not want a full commit just yet. Righty evening up to level Deathwalker's level 12. So the tier so far just sort of treading water. Lost the fight earlier, but didn't die, so he's got something to hang his hat on.
Deathwalker might be going for a Stone of Gaia himself. We saw it in game 1 for iceicebaby. Could be the call here, trying to give himself some more protection, some more damage mitigation whenever he gets hit by that tier Fearless or Trixtank's knockup, or that ultimate from Qvofred. Either really good pickup with the Stone of Gaia if that's the route he wants to go for.
I like Trixtank's play right there. Misses by a hair, but he roots the player, immediately turns and pulls where he thinks the player is going to wind up dashing, because you're going to dash once you get rooted. So he reads the dash, still a little bit off the mark, but the thought process was there, and I like to see that coming out from the players.
I mean, Sylvanas has been so impactful with those pulls so far already in this tournament. I mean, Emilzi's pull on a Death Panther underneath the wall was a great play.
Arkkyl getting jumped on, 25% HP for the ROM. Rolla's already down. Vote going to back off here as Arkkyl brought down very low. But a support shows up, and Trixtank offers a heal.
Vote played the first game pretty passive in this lane because Trixtank was showing up a decent amount. Qvofred was here multiple times to try and gank him, but no one was able to really find that kill, even playing that sort of vulnerable AMC. This time it's Vote being the aggressor in this lane, but Arkkyl being patient, holding on to that ROM ultimate because of Trixtank's appearance in that lane, means that it's Dignitas who end up on top slightly in that little skirmish.
Very slightly. And even still, Team Rival actually about 700 gold in the lead, which still talking very slightly, but I mean, this is the biggest lead we've had all game. Now Team Rival looking like they want to start a fight here. Pulling the Gold Fury, letting it go. And they're actually going to full retreat. They don't want to bait this fight like they previously thought, and Rival find themselves back in the middle lane.
Not a lot of ward coverage for Rival on that left side of the map. It kind of dissuades them from attempting that Gold Fury. I mean, they don't have any wards at the bottom left-hand side, which is where Zyrhoes would likely be trying to steal away that Gold Fury with Final Judgment. Without ward vision, you don't have as much information as you would like. It makes it harder to zone away. If someone's coming in front of you, behind, you're not really sure. So good decision there from Rival to try and play it safer.
The vision battle on the Gold Fury is in Dignitas' favor at the moment. Rival lose their Sentry Ward. Looks like they might replace it, but at the moment still all blue on the gold. Now, scary thing here is how Team Rival are playing. We mentioned before that they were kind of just the hammer team, and now they're playing surgically. A team that can do both is very difficult to beat.
Sure is. I mean, that flexibility is really tough to combat. Now, Dignitas can play both styles as well, but a little bit more surgical in their nature. So don't be surprised if Dignitas try and slow it down a little bit more than even in Game 1, where the First Blood wasn't until about 16 minutes. We're nearing that mark right now. So Dignitas could even wait a little bit longer to try and force a kill on either end than they did in Game 1.
And right now, Dignitas already forced the First Blood. So they're kind of waiting for their next opportunity, and that'll kind of just pose the question to you. Where is the next opportunity for Team Dignitas? Are they going to focus on that Gold Fury? Or instead, are they going to focus on finding a kill somewhere in the jungle?
I think that their counter engage is very strong with this composition. Cullen is a great character at absorbing a lot of cooldowns, causing some disruption with that knock-up, making that transformation, and then being a lot harder to kill than the other team was really ready for. If Dignitas kind of wait for Rival to make their engage, commit that Cabrakan ultimate, commit that Raijin ultimate, and then try and turn the fight around, that might be the right call for them. Or they can kind of wait for Variety to feel comfortable enough with his item and with his XP lead to get back into the fight and try and be the initiator for them, because that Blink Fearless is going to be a big sort of initiation factor for Dignitas.
See, that's what I'm looking for. I want Variety to just come out here and start playing hero ball. Let Variety just isolate himself and say, you, point at a hunter, and just hit him with the nonsense.
Problem is if Variety's there, that means Deathwalker's likely there. And Deathwalker is in a spot where he can do basically the same thing. Chase someone down. Zyrhoes going to have a tough time getting away from this Erlang Shen, who already has plenty of HP with just a Stone of Gaia and with a little bit of an XP lead as well. Now, Zyrhoes is a lot more protected from that Erlang Shen dive because of the fully stacked Warlock Sash.
Well, the Gold Fury being pulled one more time by Team Rival, and they're going to walk away. Response time, found out, it's about 2.5 seconds. Deathwalker getting pushed out by Variety, knocked up on the other way. Now Turtle Shield intact, and Variety not really looking to cause too much of an issue here. So pretty much just a little bit of a slap fight. There's the Fearless Power Cleave. But again, I don't think either of these guys really get a hard commit. So we talked about how Variety, it'd be cool to watch him go for the gank. But Deathwalker would likely follow suit. And talking about the counter composition, yeah, Dignitas want to get jumped on, and Team Rival aren't doing the jumping. So at what point does this game of chicken end?
Not yet. Until someone pulls an objective and has the damage to actually do it, it's probably going to be more of the same. Now, the two Hunters have gone for slightly different builds now. Titan's Bane for Arkkyl without any sort of attack speed addition to his kit outside of that second ability as a steroid, whereas Vote with the lower base attack speed and without an attack speed steroid goes for the Executioner. Now Kalas kind of makes room for, kind of eliminates that weakness of Hu Yi with Coerce, but it means that Kalas is going to have to be near him in order to do so. Arkkyl might be counting on Trixtank going for an early Shoguns here to kind of boost that attack speed up for himself.
Also, Arkkyl, I like the idea. Here's Trixtank going on in. Wlfy, half alive for the moment. Big knockup on the other side as Qvofred shows his face as well. Qvofred now in some trouble as he finds himself beneath half, dashes towards his team away from the bad guys. Vote NBK, nice and healthy. Just gonna shove a ricochet out there. Team Rival really do not want to fight. Trixtank goes right on deep there, Ryan, and they say no.
Well, now they've got that sustain from Deathwalker showing up, and the Gold Fury's
25.
getting low already.
Here comes Qvofred trying to steal it away. The Gold Fury's going to be leashed, and Arkkyl in trouble on the right-hand side. Qvofred very low, and it's going to be trouble. There's Vote taking out Variety. One kill as Team Rival find themselves on the board. And the Gold Fury one more time being focused by the purple.
Nice pin there. Zyrhoes able to dash out of it, but he turns around and gets stunned out by Kalas. Gold Fury down to about 15% HP, and all of Dignitas is forced back. Arkkyl way too late on that ultimate. Gold Fury goes Rival's way.
Arkkyl just far too late. The ROM has such potential to really snatch that away. We watched Jermaine do it earlier today.
Yeah.
And Arkkyl just a little bit too late, you know, on the trigger there.
I don't know what happened there to Variety. He blinked in and then just kind of sat there. I don't know if he got stunned out by Cabrakan or what, but didn't get an ultimate off. Barely started to get the Fearless off before he just got focused down and burned through. I mean, this is the kind of adjustment that solo laners have had to make now. It used to be where solo laners come in, oh, I'm the big bad level 18. Everyone who's hitting me is level 14. I'm invincible. No one can do anything to me. Well, now they're not getting nearly as much farm as these Hunters are. I mean, that's a level 15 tier that just got torn to shreds by a level 17 Hu Yi. Variety jumps into the middle of everyone else, and Dignitas is on a completely different page than him. I don't know if Variety's call was right or the rest of Dignitas' call was right. All I know is if you try and do both, it's going to end up being wrong.
I got what I asked for. I wanted Variety to just blink on in there and do something. I guess I got half of what I asked for, because he blinked on in there. He didn't really do much of anything. Deathwalker just walking away. Not a care in the world. Tanky enough to deal with it. Portal Demon being pulled here by Team Dig. And looking for a little bit of an extension as Wlfy gets pushed on right towards Zyrhoes. The ultimate being warmed up, and Wlfy being cooked by it. The Suns are going to be go ahead and dropped. And Team Rival looking for the continuation. Let's ride along with them, thanks to Sennheiser.
I went like too far.
I was
And,
gonna
like,
careful.
They're doing it.
How do that beats?
Thoth ulted, by the way. They have no
Zeus
secure.
roll.
Thoth ulted. Like you can.
I'll stunt here.
Nice.
Poke him.
Nice poke.
Nice,
Good poke.
I have shells.
I'm up in 20.
I have everything up.
I'm up in 20, boys. Like you don't like just chill.
Just
They ward.
I'm just
healing
annoying.
up.
They're healing up. Like as long as like you guys delay for me to like get there, we're good.
Here's that mids.
Yeah.
Nice.
Be careful. Nice.
Careful. Like did he blink by the way?
I
the
have
tier?
shell now.
Tier blinked, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I still have shell.
I'm on my way.
All right, now here's going to be the double push coming up from Variety. Looking for the Fearless, can't find it. Qvofred trying to find something else. Vote, however, will be the Seeker looking at Trixtank. Arkkyl dropped from the sky, and here comes another blink in. A little bit of trouble as iceicebaby pounds the ground. Fearless, power cleave. We'll see you later as Qvofred puts a dot on that one.
But Wlfy arrives with those taiko drums. Zyrhoes finds Vote in the backside, and now it's just 3 members of Rival doing their best to continue the fight. Wlfy gets stunned out, and Zyrhoes doing plenty of damage to the enemy mage.
Variety's still trying to find it, but Wlfy over the top finds safety instead. Qvofred just poking out Deathwalker and rejoins his team. And Team Dignitas, I mean, they don't need to hear the comms to know what's going on. Rival trying to waste time for the mid laner to show up. Dig fights before he does.
Really good play there, and just a little bit too ambitious by iceicebaby, who blinks in with no ultimate, without any stuns available. It just blinks in and starts tremoring, and everyone from Dignitas just kind of looks around and says,
What?
yeah, we can handle this. We'll just go ahead and kill you really quick. And iceicebaby just a little bit too underleveled right now. Only level 14. Doesn't have a lot of protections there. We went for a Stone of Gaia of his own, and just for the reasons that I just said, I liked it on Deathwalker. I like it here for iceicebaby as well. But if you want to be in the thick of things as a Cabrakan, you need to have at least a little bit of protection. Now he's working what could be towards a Spirit's Robe, could be a Mantle of Discord, could be a Hide of the Urchin, even potentially could be a Magi's Blessing. I think any of those would be helpful for iceicebaby, and he's going to need some protection. He's not there to do the big burst damage anymore. That time of the game is already kind of passed him by. He's there to set up for Wlfy and for Vote, and we saw how much damage Vote was able to do with just a little bit of setup from Kalas and from Deathwalker. You just got to enable your Hunter to do their job, and that's hit the frontliners.
2-man taunt. Deathwalker able to grab that one, but now his ultimate's down. And so Team Dignitas can keep that one up there in the brain bank. Portal Demon being focused by both squads here. Team Dignitas pull it. It's down to about half. Deathwalker tossing an ability out. Not going to find a home just yet. And Iceice primed and ready to go.
Good stun onto Variety, a little bit of damage onto him. Watch out for Wlfy because he's got no relics again, and he's been a focus for Team Dignitas thus far. Trixtank has his Blink ultimate. Is only going to take that Blink Wrath of Terra and a good final judgment to really force Wlfy out of this fight quickly.
Yeah, Portal Demon pulled leashed. None of the team really, I think, wants it more than they want the fight. Variety taking a little bit of damage, but not too big of a deal. Wlfy needs to find the hits as he's the one with the anti-heal. The Divine Rune going to be able to help out. So Wlfy needs to be able to spread out some of the damage, usually by way of Raiju, but he needs to be the one kind of firing these shots into the abyss to make sure that team isn't able to heal it up with a simple wisp play.
I like the Divine Ruin into Obsidian Shard build path here.
I love it.
Deathwalker's in trouble, gets Fearless by Variety on the right-hand side.
Big trouble. I mean, he's surrounded by Team Dignitas members. There's a knockup, and Trixtank gets it with the dot. However, iceicebaby gonna lock one in, forcing Arkkyl into the sky. Players
Good
scatter,
damage.
and a nice ability. Team Dignitas able to respond to their Hunter, and they get the 1 for none.
Deathwalker just out of position there on the Erlong Shen, even with the ultimate. No way the Rival can get to where he is. He's on Dignitas' half of the map when he's clearing that wave, and now it's a 5v4 in Dignitas' favor.
Yeah, Portal Demon now, even lower than half. iceicebaby trying to control Variety. The double Fearless into the power cleave, and the Suns get dropped by Vote to push Variety out of there. Wlfy very low, but Variety Qvofred in the red. 3 players now coalescing on the top of Team Rival, and Zyrhoes sends Vote all the way back to Scotland.
Really good play there by Trixtank, rooting Vote in place, I should say, to secure that kill for Zyrhoes, making sure that Arkkyl stays safe with his aggressive positioning. He rolled all the way into the back line, knowing that he had both relics available and that his team would come calling whenever needed.
Dignitas finding the necessary picks in order to earn themselves the objectives here. Portal Demon goes down. Deathwalker a little too far up. Vote, well, he was kind of in the right spot. Dignitas turned it into the wrong spot. And so 25 minutes in, Dig have 6 kills and find themselves all even as far as the gold is concerned, but the momentum, the wind is in their sails.
Deathwalker doesn't want to get caught out again. He's going to retreat towards his tier 2 tower, but Dignitas just looking for the buffs on this right-hand side. Look at how much ward coverage they have over here. Wards on speed, wards on blue, wards around fire. With Gold Fury up, Vote could potentially just head straight over to that left-hand side. There's no ward coverage over there for Dig. Just try and steal away that objective.
It's possible. Certainly something to think about. I think Fire Giant is all in Dig's mind right now, looking for that 1 or 2 picks that'll allow them to get the Portal Demon, looking for the same type of play to allow them to get the Fire Giant here.
Qvo has got that mystical mail finished off, so it's constant pulsing damage even when in human form now. As soon as he transforms into that rage, man, you're getting tons of damage just for being around him without even having to hit his abilities.
Fire Giant brought down to 75 before being leashed. Vote gets fearless. Vote gets pulled. He's going to have to jump away, but he can't outrun that one. Zyrhoes with a long-range shot, bringing down the Hunter one more time. Variety flips in place. He finds the fearless, but Kalas finds the Variety. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Ice gets stunned as well, and Zyrhoes with the double kill.
Qvo just doing such a good job of frontlining in this fight. Trixtank blinking in, finding that root as well. Ice, again, just not able to make an impact so far in this game. He's all the way at the bottom.
The turnaround. Kalas gets collapsed on. Rival thought Dignitas were going all the way down, and Dig just about face and shove it in Rival's face. Find a stun, and this is the window of opportunity I was talking about. 2 kills, and Wlfy pushed down a little bit, Rai. This might be enough.
Using that sustain from the Sylvanas. Again, as soon as someone from Rival shows up, Dignitas peel off the objective and try and force them out. Now, Deathwalker doesn't have the ultimate available quite yet, but has some steal potential with that 72 transformations.
Half HP on the Fire Giant. Let's listen to Team Dignitas, thanks to Sennheiser.
I'm going to zone again.
Guys, yeah.
Radiant's coming in. Radiant's coming in.
Where?
Where?
I don't know.
No, he's not. He's not.
Kellis falling back. Kellis falling back. I think it's 3.
Get it.
They're falling goal.
I'm doing gold.
Pushing right in, boys.
Nice. Good shit.
Pushing right in.
iceicebaby invest.
Wait.
Oh,
Oh, I can now, Harry. Don't die. Did I get it? Is it
Harry,
off?
you can die. Watch out, Harry, now.
I'm in right. Do you have out?
No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not fast.
Shit.
They triple bounce me with the...
Leave goal.
Wait, that's Radiant
Can I push
ult down.
right?
Yeah. Radiant ult down and Kraken ult down.
I'm gonna see if I can get this red buff. Did you Kraken now?
Yeah. And Radiant ult as well.
I'm top damage, maybe I should. Do you have rods in? Oh, you have
Yeah, I
rods.
do.
Take it.
I do a lot of them.
That's fine.
We
Push left. Careful, Frank. You can
I
probably
think
get
they
it.
can get it.
Go get your...
Team Dignitas, a little bit self-congratulatory there. I do like the call for Variety. It's okay, you can die.
Yeah, it's very Variety doing his best all of my ranked teammates at one time impression. No, I'm fine. No, I'm not going to die as he ults into 2 people all by himself.
3 people.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm not going to. He gets Kraken ulted. No, I'm fine. Wow, he triple bounced me, bro. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's kind of exactly what happened. But Variety, I mean, he delayed the Gold Fury and got some valuable information. He found out that the mid lane used his ult on him and Kraken used his ult on him, and he got triple bounced. But all while he was doing that, anyway, Rival do wind up with the Gold Fury. The tier 2 tower on the right-hand side falls.
But that's a tier 2 tower that Rival wants to probably give up anyways. And now by the time that everyone from Dignitas regroups and gets ready to siege, all those ultimates, Kraken, Raijin, both already available. That kill, that Gold Fury, has put Rival pretty even with Dignitas. Look at the gold difference. It's actually in Rival's favor. This game is in Dignitas's favor, but not by a lot, just by a little bit.
Exactly, and Rival this is, you can fight into a Fire Giant team like this, especially if they're going to spread out like this. Team Rival, 4-player strong, chasing Thoth all the way down the middle lane while their side towers get crumbled.
Interesting.
Rival doesn't care. They're just going to push up themselves.
This is a trade that Rival's willing to take because with 5 members and a Fafnir, they're going to be able to out-trade the opposition even with fire.
Well, here comes Variety on the flank. Finds the Fearless and a little bit of a power cleave, but he's got to jump all the way away. Meanwhile, the Suns are going to drop in the tier 2 tower, still being focused. Vote just looking for it over and over. Trixtank has to exit the hard way. Wlfy, all the way from a distance, finds the kill.
Qvo shows up real mad that Trix is already dead, and he's going to find the war crown of 4 right in the midst of everything. Huge knockup as he de-transforms at a great time, but the horrific emblem forces out the purification beads.
Oh, the blink forward from Kabrakan. The stun on the other target because he knows somebody is going to get Qvo, and that somebody is Deathwalker. Wlfy cleans up Variety, 3 players dead in Dignitas jerseys, and what started as a counter push will wind up as the Phoenix push. iceicebaby relatively low alongside the whole entirety of Team Rival. Arkkyl looking for the shots, and he finds it blindly through the wall, taking down Wlfy.
Man, they really needed that. Dignitas, I just don't understand that call from Dig to defend that tier 2 at all. I mean, Arkkyl's getting a Phoenix for free 7 days a week on that push, and Variety blinks in and starts a 5v3 for no reason. I mean, as I called out right before that team fight started, this game in terms of gold was very, very even, with actually Rival having the ever so slight lead. Yes, Gold Fury or Fire Giant buff kind of accounts for a lot of that, but at the same time, why force that engagement as Dignitas underneath the tier 2? If you want to trade, fine. If you want to fight, fine. But you need your members to be backing or trying to group up in order to get to that fight. Only Qvo was heading over. That was a really bad engage by Dig.
Look, I asked for Variety to start playing the hero ball and put the team in the backpack, but that was before he was down a slew of levels. That was before. You can't make those same plays, and right now I think that Variety on his signature tier, that's what he does when he plays this pick for his team. It becomes the Variety show, and to Dignitas' credit and Variety's credit, they share that role. Sometimes it's Arkkyl that's the guy, and that's sort of sometimes it's Zyrhoes. That's their game plan. The problem is you come into this game saying, Variety, you're our hard carry, and sometimes you have to change that thought process, and it doesn't seem like Variety has adapted to the fact that he's behind.
Yeah, his decision-making just flat out has not been very good this game, and it needs to improve throughout this set if Dignitas want to punch their ticket to Worlds.
He's playing like he's ahead. That's the problem. If he makes the same plays and him and Deathwalker are swapped, everything is kind of okay. But he's down too far in order to make these 1v3 fearless plays actually effective.
Arkkyl has gone for a build without any executioner. And I don't know the last time I could think of a Hunter build that was the case. He's foregone it completely. Instead, going for the Titan's Bane chin size into the Bloodforge. Now, Bloodforge, ton of power, great passive. When you get the last hit on a kill, you get a big health shield and some increased movement speed for a pretty long duration. Love this item on Hunters, but it's really kind of been you either get a Odysseus bow or a Bloodforge, because the other 5 items are really solidified on this pen, chin size sort of style of build. But Arkkyl deciding he doesn't need what many view as the crux of all of these Hunter builds, which is Executioner.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. Arkyl's been the most successful Dignitas member, I think, in this game too, however. Here's a Blink Fearless from Variety, completely off the mark. Deathwalker on the other side, however. iceicebaby looking for the stun. Double knockup coming out from Trixtank, and the Sun's going to be dropped by Vote. All of the message of trying to push out Qvo and Variety. This time Variety does find the Fearless on the iceicebaby. Qvofred way deep behind enemy lines, brought down to about a quarter of HP. Jumping forward, Team Rival on the retreat. Here comes Variety.
He's got that ultimate. He's going to find only Deathwalker, but he's not worried about getting pushed into the thick of things. He wants to be there. Ice may not. He got isolated inside that blue buff, and Qvofred punishes him for it.
Dignitas now have the window that Rival were able to find a little bit earlier. Tie game at 34 minutes. And Dignitas going to get the Fire Giant, taking down the jungler. Team Rival relinquish the big boy objective. And Dignitas one more time find themselves with the momentum, hoping to turn it into a tangible lead aggro. But last time, wasn't the case.
But last time, Dignitas wasn't grouped. This time, all 5 members working together to try and get what should be a weakened left side Phoenix. Could even be this right side Phoenix siege because they still have that 5-on-4 power play for 15 more seconds.
Kalas already being chased out. Qvofred jumping forward, and the Phoenix being brought down to about half HP already. Here comes Kalas and Deathwalker trying to lead the charge and push players out, but the Firebird already taken out. 2-man taunt from DW, but on the backside, Kalas being controlled.
Final Judgment, not doing a lot there for Zyrhoes, but Dignitas already got what they came for. That right side Phoenix down before iceicebaby respawns. That's been the real pick that has lacked for me so far in this one for Rival. Every other player has had a pretty solid game in my mind. And it's not necessarily iceicebaby's fault directly. I just don't think that the Qvofred pick has necessarily worked out for how Rival have wanted to play these team fights.
Right, I mean, iceicebaby really needs to be looking to lock down those corridors and try to find some isolation plays, and just not able to really find that. Instead, he's the one being pushed away from his team and isolated. Gold Fury by Rival one more time. In fact, I've seen this episode before. Dignitas get a Fire Giant, Rival get the Gold Fury, and it keeps them in the game. Again, you're up 500 gold, maybe give or take Team Rival. Tie game with the enemy with a Fire Giant buff. Fire Giant's scary, but you can absolutely fight a team with FG.
Now they have to worry, though, that their left side Phoenix is weakened because of Arkkyl's push earlier on. It's down to half HP. It's not regenning any more than that. And it's not going to be doing quite as much damage as it used to. While at the same time, you've got fire minions coming from the right-hand side. That's why that Phoenix push on the right side was so important for Dignitas, because it splits Rival's focus. Do we defend our base and make sure that fire minions don't come into our Titan room, or do we try and defend an already half-healthed Phoenix?
Well, right now, Rival looks like they kind of want to fight here, which at this point, I think they don't have another choice here. I think they do want to fight under the Phoenix. That's essentially their 6-on-5. Trixtank gets rooted out here by the Arlong Shen. And a little bit of a shot from Zyrhoes. No ultimate use just yet. Team Rival now pushing off of the Phoenix as they're trying to keep Dignitas at bay.
Zyrhoes has been really impactful with these ultimates so far, but it's always been off that setup from Trixtank or from Variety to find a target who's already used their defense. So good idea for Zyrhoes to stay in the back and just try and launch that poke from a distance.
Qvofred being poked down a little bit thanks to a fancy ricochet, but the blink is good. There's a knock-up, a couple of players forced down with the ultimate. That's the type of play we need from iceicebaby. Locking players in, but is it enough? Arkkyl comes down and he's still locked. Here comes iceicebaby. Arkkyl very low. Somebody finish the hunter. Kalas says, fine, I'll do it.
Deathwalker still looking for it, but a good turnaround stun from Zyrhoes may have bought Dig enough space to get away, and that Raiju bounce not going to close the gap. But the left side Phoenix stays up. You called it right away. Deathwalker and iceicebaby do such a good job off that front side. Good job by Wlfy to use the Taiko Drum's ultimate as purification beads off the blink ult from Trix. And Arkkyl was just a little bit too far forward. Someone, though, in Arkyl's defense, Arkyl's up in that Astral Barrage, buying time. Also putting good damage on a vote. He brought him down to half HP. And then he comes down, and the walls are still down behind him. During that time where Rom is up in the air, someone from Dignitas has got to be breaking those walls to make sure that Arkkyl can just roll out of danger.
Exactly. iceicebaby makes the exact play. And if you're on the other side of the coin, you have to expect the exact play, right? Portal Demon, Team Rival started, Team Rival finishes. Fire Giant going to be up in about 55 seconds here. But iceicebaby, I mean, we were just mentioning Caster's Curse. Finally, we do something positive with it. We were just mentioning how iceicebaby picks this Qvofred and has never Qvofred. And then right there, he Qvofred's.
And all of a sudden, it's Rival's fight to win. And also, Zyrhoes' ultimate wasn't as impactful in that fight, and Arkkyl falling is really the key factor. Now, Dignitas have to now recognize that will probably be Rival's game plan in the next team fight, especially with Arkyl's relics being on cooldown, as Aegis being down for over a minute still at this stage. Fire Giant's up in about 15 seconds, which means that there's going to be an extended Fire Giant dance where Arkyl's not going to have a very important defensive relic available to him. So if that happens again, Dignitas have to use the time where he's up in that Rom ult to break him out of jail there.
iceicebaby steps up and saves the game momentarily. That left side Phoenix fight goes awry. All of a sudden, Dignitas go over to the right side Phoenix, take that one down as well, because it's just about to spawn. The game's so different. Single Cabrakan ult forces the Fire Giant off of the enemy team. Rival are up gold in this scenario. Dignitas are pushing up as the gold is irrelevant, so they feel like they can take this the quarters fight, right? The close quarter fight is what they're looking for. But Team Rival absolutely can fight here.
Kalas has to jump away because of the pressure put onto him by Trixtank. Good stun on a variety. A lot of big poke right away, but another two-man blink knockup from Trixtank.
Trixtank forces on the other side so they can't respond. Wlfy, however, gets taken out by a huge chunk from the mid lane mage. Shots from the Hunter, not going to find it. Qvofred here looking for Ice.
Nice
ultimate
ult
from Cabrakan, not going to separate everybody like he wanted. But Rival slowly being forced out. One player backs to base. Kalas has to jump away. There's a push from Qvofred off the mark, and Team Rival looking for the re-engage.
Deathwalker with a multi-man knockup, and now Zyrhoes gonna dash forward, stunning Kalas, and he's very low. Zyrhoes will finish him off all by himself.
Deathwalker's stuck trying to figure out if he wants to go to the front or the back, but he's stuck doing nothing. Sitting on his hands,
Wlfy's
watching
dead.
his team die. Wlfy's in trouble.
Ooh, not quite. Thought there'd be a little bit more CC coming off that stun from Zyrhoes. Wlfy had to use both relics off that blink engagement by Trixtank again in the final judgment. So much long-range damage from Dig in this game. I'm looking at Thoth for Zyrhoes. That final judgment hitting Wlfy for over 1,200 in that last team fight. And then Arkkyl takes to the sky and just tries to burn him down from there.
Looking for the ambush. Variety and Trixtank. Huge knock-up from the Tree Man. Here comes Variety looking for the Fearless into the power cleave, but it's iceicebaby that turns around and cuts Trixtank.
Arkkyl very low, so is Variety. Actually, it's a Rival who end up kind of okay after that. I mean, Vote still able to survive somehow. Kala still on the respawn, and that all comes down to the fact that Zyrhoes hit a target, the only target he didn't want to hit, because it was the Magi's blessing from Deathwalker.
Yep.
He sees damage numbers and he says, I got someone, let's go, let's fight. But he doesn't realize that he didn't hit the stun. iceicebaby was just right next to Deathwalker and would have been a perfect target for that stun from Zyrhoes. It's a little bit unfortunate that it found the wrong target, and the Rival's able to turn it around because of it.
Dig had the element of surprise. That was a really nice group up. But Team Rival just sat there and said, I'm going to shoot you with your own gun. You're not going to get the jump on us. Turn it around, take out Trixtank. Now they're looking for the Fire Giant at 42 minutes here. Qvofred and Arkkyl pushing up, and Zyrhoes behind the wall, ready and waiting. Team Rival have to be aware of that mid lane mage, and Wlfy is trying to find him. He sees the window. He knows that Zyrhoes is around. Wlfy forcing out the mid lane mage. Deathwalker and friends have to full commit because they have Zyrhoes. They have him zoned out.
Do they? It might still be close enough to fire
close.
the final
Fire
judgment.
Giant gets stolen. Team Dignitas thanks their mid laner as Zyrhoes snatches it out of the hand of Team Rival. They zoned, but they did not zone enough. And one more time, Team Dignitas find themselves with the fancy belt.
The long-range damage again from Dig coming up big. It's final judgment. It's that ROM ult. I mean, doesn't matter what stole it. It was something from really far away that you can't really zone very well. And there's not a lot you can do to outburst final judgment. I mean, you don't have enough for Rival. Raijin does a lot of things really, really well. Securing objectives with one burst of damage is not one of them.
Wlfy, he walked up to Zyrhoes and he said, walk away, bud. And Zyrhoes said, okay. And Wlfy said, okay, I'm done now. And Zyrhoes said, I'm going to come back. And he just walked right back. He just walked right back to where he was.
But Wlfy can't possibly zone Zyrhoes far enough away without dying himself. I mean, Zyrhoes can fire off that final judgment from so far that in order for Wlfy to effectively keep him out of range of that ult, he dies by going that far. And instead of trying to steal fire, Dignitas just get a 5v4 power play and push Phoenixes anyways.
I suppose. I think Wlfy can just walk towards him and keep him on the move. Maybe not out of range, but distracted so he's not able to focus on the Fire Giant. Either way, Team Dignitas successfully find themselves with the FG one more time, sieging the left side one more time. Right Phoenix is dead one more time. And Trixtank leading the charge one more time. Variety finding Fearless not to be spoken of too much. Trixtank looking for the initiation.
Voda's done such a good job of poking out the opposition in this exact same corridor. He's definitely been practicing that triple bounce right there in that little tiny area to poke down the opposition. Problem is, you've got Sylvanas heals and the Fire Giant buff regenning everyone back up. It's not going to stick for long.
44-19 on the clock. Team Rival looking for the counter initiation. All of them lined up, and Wlfy, bang, bang, bang. Arkkyl gets blown up. Next up is going to be Trixtank as he's at a quarter HP, chased out on the left-hand side. Not dead yet, but Dignitas, they've distracted Team Rival. Sure, their Hunter goes down, but they're good enough to take care of the left side Phoenix.
Yeah, but they're going to lose even Qvofred now, most likely. iceicebaby's going to get credit for it. Right side Phoenix has respawned. Variety, was he even a part of that team fight at all? I think he wanted to loop in from the mid lane and just never really did. And that Raijin ult damage all focused onto Arkkyl. So difficult to see everything coming at you with so many effects happening right in front of you. But to die with both relics and your ultimate in that scenario, I mean, we're 45 minutes in at super regionals here. It just can't happen.
Can't happen. Arkkyl kind of drops the ball right there. Team Dignitas, 2 men dead. Team Rival, everybody alive. But there's nothing really to take. 100 gold for the Portal Demon, and you're not going to be able to take advantage of the map presence it gives you? Aggro, I don't care.
It's not a big deal. It's just a big deal that Rival's still here and Rival's on the map.
Sure.
Because if, you know, Arkyl's able to Aegis out some of that damage and then Variety's able to join the team fight and all of a sudden it's Rival's fight to win, then it can be a lot of problem, or excuse me, Dignitas' fight to win, then they just win the game off of that engagement. Instead, it's Rival prolonging it and giving themselves another chance to win the game.
Rival have looked like Rival are a fantastic defensive team. I mean, this is they didn't get the full defensive stop this time around, but they bite back, taking a couple players with them. Before they got the raw stop, just iceicebaby with the perfect bracket ultimate, able to take care of business, and the rest of the team supporting him.
And what was the common factor in both of those two left side Phoenix defenses? Arkkyl being the first to fall. And he's got to recognize that he's going to be the primary focus and that he cannot be in blink range for iceicebaby. He can't be in range for Wlfy's ultimate. And just use your ult to start the fight if you need to as Arkkyl.
Sure.
Get up there and poke out the opposition as the engage starts to happen from Trixtank. And then once the cooldowns start flowing, now you're able to get in there and do your damage as a late game ADC. Arkkyl being near the front has not worked out thus far. He's got to change it now.
Right, and you know, that's up to Team Dignitas. Variety playing the tier. Tier is not the quintessential frontliner. You know, he's not going to be able to just Osiris press W, as we like to say. Variety has to take things a little bit differently. You know, he and Deathwalker have both made the same mistake in different points in time, continuously looking for the flank for too long and then just never being involved. You know, they sit there and they're like, do I go in the front? Do I go on the side? Do I go in the front? Do I go on the side? And they spend that whole time waffling and they get pancaked.
I really like what Deathwalker has picked up here. Sold his boots for a Masamune. It gives him some extra movement speed, not quite as much as the boots do, but now some extra power, 50 power, and those protections that come from the passive. He's going to be in the middle of a lot of people on Dignitas, and a Masamune passive giving you 10 prots for every member that you're around is very potent.
Thor in a glass, pretty much. You know, Thor passive. Trixtank going to get stunned out by Kalas here. Very close game. 1 kill separating the team. 1,000 gold or less, 500 gold separating the teams. And just shy of 50 minutes here. Team Rival and Team Dignitas neck and neck the entirety of this game so far. Rival now grouping up. Variety gets knocked up. Trouble for him as he gets stunned out as well. But the mid lane Zyrhoes able to punch back, and iceicebaby brought down to about the same level that Variety was earlier on.
Rival need to be worried, though, about that left side Phoenix due to respawn pretty soon, but if left unchecked, those fire minions will bring it down without any sort of assistance from Dig.
And that's why Dignitas are starting this team fight, starting this Fire Giant right now. Team Rival have to make a choice. Phoenix or Fire. Phoenix is clearly the choice. Players backing Fire Giant being relinquished by Team Dignitas, or by Rival rather. And one more time, Team Dignitas have the Fire Giant, and they find themselves Phoenix pushing, but Rival have been so adept at stopping this charge.
It's the 3rd FG already for Dignitas, and they haven't been able to break the base quite yet. They've gotten the 2 side Phoenixes down a couple times, but haven't been able to do more than that quite yet.
Trixtank leading the charge. Qvofred tanking just a little bit as Zyrhoes from a distance tries to knock players down. Arkkyl, watch his positioning here. As we've noted, he has been the target, and he's got to be cognizant of it because Team Rival, they're just going to keep bullying him if that's the case. Deathwalker in front of the rest of his team.
Left side Phoenix is going to fall really soon. As soon as that wave on the left side of your mini-map hits, it's likely to fall down. So Rival is on a time bomb here if they want to keep their base intact entirely.
Variety still on the left side, being pinged out by Rival. They know his location, so he's going to join the rest of the squad. Wlfy over the wall does have the opportunity, but the blink forward from Rival as they want to start the fight already. Here comes a nice knockup from Qvofred, but it's low damage for the guys on Dig. Variety, about a sliver of HP, has to ultimate all the way out. Vote's low, and the Aegis protects one. The Aegis can't protect two. Arkkyl from the sky takes out his direct opposition, and Vote lies in a casket.
That time, Arkyl's able to survive, and what does it end up doing? Getting a kill for Dignitas. Now that left side Phoenix is about to fall to the fire wave and left, and the right side's under siege again.
Deathwalker, 75% HP. Qvofred trying to find the backline. Wlfy and Collis chased back to the fountain. Right Firebird down for the count. Left Firebird, a little bit of help from the friends. And the mid Phoenix is Team Dignitas' next focus.
It's going to go down here. Rival can't defend their base. Left side Phoenix might end up standing.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. 13 for Team Dignitas. 50 minutes on the clock.
iceicebaby with just not enough clear to defend that left side Phoenix, and now Dig feel like they might be able to just stick around here. They've got plenty of waves ready to go into this Titan room.
This is a Dig play. This is just, you know what? We're tired. Let's go for it. 5-man clump. Variety stunned out. There's the charge up, but it's Trixtank starting the party all the way in the back line, trying to find the knockup. There's a little bit of help from iceicebaby, but Qvofred finds another knockup. Arkkyl, first to die. Wlfy with credit. That's a bad sign.
And Trix just a little bit too deep. He was looking to knock up Wlfy with that Blink Wrath of Terra. Zyrhoes charging Final Judgment over the wall. If we could one-shot the mage, we could go into game 3 ready to go. But Trix only hits Kalas. Zyrhoes says, I'm not ulting that guy. No way I want to ult a 51-minute Fafnir who's completely full build. So all of a sudden, it's Rival's turn to try and turn it around. This is one of those games, man. 3 Phoenixes down. We talk about it all the time. Not many Smite teams in history have come back from it, but I don't know, Tom. I've just got this feeling like Rival's defense has been so strong.
Yeah.
That this might be one of those.
Rival is the team that's going to do it if anybody can. Deathwalker and iceicebaby tanky with just enough control to really stop a lot of these offensive pushes coming out from Team Dignitas. Wlfy is able to provide distance and power. And then Collis and Vote. I mean, Vote just needs to get a little bit lucky with a ricochet. And when you're fighting in that area, there's so many angles that a good hunter can find. And we all know Vote's absolutely a good hunter.
I mean, now 3 fire waves coming at your base isn't easy to deal with, so Rival's not going to be able to push out of their base whatsoever, and they need to stick local to their side of the map and make sure that these waves are as far pushed out as possible. Where that mid wave is now is as far as anyone from Rival can realistically go safely, and even there is pretty risky with Dignitas having backed and bought. I mean, a 3k defense potion for Variety, a 3k offense potion for Arkkyl. That's plenty of extra damage to worry about.
Team Dignitas now grouping up one more time. No Fire Giant this time around. FG 45 seconds till he spawns. No Phoenixes. The only line of defense for Team Rival is their bodies by themselves. 5 players strong, looking for the defensive maneuver.
No power potions in the inventory for Rival here. I mean, I already called out the 2 3k pots for Dig, so Dig already at an advantage, but they did lose their Fire Giant buff. Not up anymore.
Deathwalker waiting. Qvofred here as well. DW just playing. I love where Wlfy is located, by the way. His positioning. Mwah.
Deathwalker lost the Magi's Blessing there, which is important, so he gets rooted and already brought down to about 50% HP.
The ultimate being charged by Zyrhoes. Just a joke. Not going for it just yet. There's the window. One more time, Zyrhoes charges. Stops again. Trixtank off the mark with the root. Pushing up, forcing Rival to clump up in that throne room. Trixtank rooted, no commit.
Trix has been the engage primarily for Dignitas so far in this one, whether it's off the pool or off the Blink ultimate. So him being in the front line is no surprise, but Rival need to be worried about where they're going to be where they're grouping up for that Blink.
Trixtank pulling off. Before he was looking for the roots of the pulls, Trixtank pulls back because he wants to find the Blink. Instead, it's going to be the Blink from Variety right-hand side, but it's Qvofred taking a ton of damage right from Wlfy. Trixtank finds one knockup. The left side Phoenix is respawned, likely to fall to the minions. And here comes the retreat from Team Dignitas one more time, allowing Rival to protect their Firebird. All of them.
Don't know exactly who Variety was able to find with that Blink Fearless, but I think it was like iceicebaby and Deathwalker. iceicebaby and someone else, and Zyrhoes was off the mark with the final judgment, but even if it hits, I'm not sure how much damage it would have actually done because Variety couldn't find any primary targets with that ult. Qvo goes in, trying to follow up off of that initiation because like I called, everyone is looking at Trixtank. Everyone's saying he's the guy who's done it every time, so let's see where he is. So this time, Dignitas switch it up. They allow Variety to be that initial engager, but the follow-up off of his initiation was not very good.
Variety was looking for Wlfy, and all credit to the Wolfman. He immediately goes into the ultimate, so he's crowd control immune. Variety can't hit him with the Fearless, and then Wlfy just smacks Qvofred and brings him down real low.
Fire minion still here on the right-hand side. Should still be at least one more wave on the left as well. So Dignitas knows that they've got some extra help when it comes to pushing down these Phoenixes now, but the Phoenixes have regen to nearly half HP. That's about as good as it's going to get for Rival's defense.
Rival was looking really good with the defensive plays before. Fire Giant around the waist of Team Dignitas. So that said, we're 55.5 minutes into this game, folks. If Team Rival find a defensive stop and 2 or 3 kills, they win the game. Right now, Deathwalker being pulled in is going to force Team Rival to be the initiator. Trixtank brought down to half HP. Deathwalker even worse. He's going to find the retreat. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots from the Hunter, all off the mark. And now Team Dignitas, without 3 of their ultimates, are pushing into the middle lane.
Bunch of ults, but not a lot of effectiveness from either side. Now Qvo's locked in underneath that Phoenix, kind of all by himself because Vogt's ultimate is zoned away the rest of Dig.
Meanwhile, mid lane Phoenix stands strong.
My God.
Right side, left side, all stand strong. Team Rival, one more time, find the defensive stop.
Zyrhoes and the rest of Dig kind of want to stick around here, though. This is a good call because Rival has so split up. They assumed Dignitas was backing, but with that Fire Giant sustain and the Sylvanas heal, they can stick around a little bit longer. Qvo needs to be careful, though. He cannot dive into the backline with how low he is right now.
Team Rival grouped up again. Mid lane again. Team Dignitas with Fire Giant again.
Relic advantage here for Dignitas. Only the Blink down for Variety. Everyone else has their relics available. Good relic situation for Rival. It's not too bad for them, but having no Blink for iceicebaby, having no Aegis for Vote is absolutely
But
critical.
having Horrific for Deathwalker is a really big deal. That's going to stunt a lot of the output from Team Dignitas. And right now, Dig need all of the output that they can get.
There goes the Magi's again for Deathwalker. He hasn't been able to hold that bubble for long. Trixtank's been hunting for him with that root every time.
Nice shot. No target. Deathwalker playing up front. Trixtank gets the pull. Knock up as well. Half HP for the Warrior. He's on the retreat. Wlfy immediately in the ultimate, but just not enough damage.
Deathwalker still survives. What a preemptive ultimate there. Actually had to use it afterwards. Looks like the cast got interrupted. Zyrhoes again, just a little bit off the mark with that ultimate, but could say the same for Wlfy's Taiko drums. He's been using it on these tanks and it hasn't been effective.
Qvo taking the brunt of the damage, 60% for him. Blink forward,
There
Arkkyl's
goes.
the target for iceicebaby, forced into the sky one more time, waiting full distance, but he's gonna land and he's gonna fall. Wlfy,
Holy
Vote,
cow.
both with a kill, they're on the chase.
80 seconds plus on those respawn timers. Now keep an eye on how many towers are still up for Rival. 3
Doesn't
still
matter.
standing on Dignitas' side of the map. That means this Titan is going to be really tanky if Rival want to go for the end.
Doesn't matter, this is what I said before. I said if Team Rival get the same defensive stop that they got earlier, Ryan, if they're able to get 1 or 2 players, Ryan, they're gonna look for at least a Phoenix. The mid lane Phoenix has Team Rival all over it. What's after that? That's a call that Team Rival need to make themselves. They're making it right now. And it looks like they're gonna play it safe. Back off? No!
I don't know, man. They don't know either. They might
have
be
no
waiting
clue.
for the minion wave here to try and debuff that Titan so they don't have to tank it up themselves.
Variety, Zyrhoes, and Qvofred remain. Here's the Titan, already down to 75% HP. Wlfy with the ultimate. Bang-a-lang on the drums. 25% HP left for the Titan. iceicebaby's in. Variety gets a kill. Votes all there. Titan still alive. 1,000, 1,600, 900, 400. See you later. Team Rival up 2-0.
What a game. Rival come back from all 3 Phoenixes down and somehow hold against, what, 4, 5 Fire Giants for Team Dignitas. What an incredible defensive stand by Rival.
There is an intensity in the air, folks. And a lot of times here in our small player only lands, we don't get this electricity.
Yeah.
But there is an electricity in the air that I just can't describe right now.
Holy cow. I mean, how do you come back from that as Dignitas? Like, what else can we do, man? We got 5 fires. We got all 3 Phoenixes. Everyone wins once you get all 3 Phoenixes down, except against Team Rival, who somehow keep the wherewithal. In iceicebaby there, we kind of called him out that he wasn't being too effective in the mid game and even into the late game, honestly. But we reached that near an hour mark for that game, and 2 times, you're right, that left side Phoenix defense is in large part to him, and then that final defensive kind of resurgence as Dignitas is retreating from that mid Phoenix. Arkkyl gets bursted down very, very quickly. He goes up in the air, and he's at less than 100 HP, trying to just put some damage out before he ultimately falls. He never ends up respawning before Rival ended up taking the Titan.
Listen, man, it feels like iceicebaby made only 2 plays in almost an hour, but it was the 2 plays, one that kept his team into it, and one that won the game for his team, arguably. That's how we feel. Taco, friends, break it down.
I think more importantly, I'd rather just hear it directly from the player himself. Mike, you go through a grueling match like that for nearly an hour as the end that was with the 3 Phoenixes down. And if you were Dignitas, what is your mentality right now?
If you're Dig, you got to try really hard not to tilt because you were up so much in that game, and now you're rethinking. Like, if that's your strategy going in, and you were up that far ahead and you couldn't close it out, then it really messes with your mindset.
They had so many opportunities, honestly, like you were talking about. 3 Phoenixes down here. And I'm looking at the key moment in the late game of Zyrhoes playing the Thoth, missing a couple of key crucial ultimates, not being able to hit the squishy targets in the back line, not allowing Dignitas to end.
Yeah, I would actually say he was probably the most impactful player throughout the first 25 minutes. He was going off. He was hitting everything. And then during the sieges, he just couldn't really find that one big ult to end the game.
And I think also a big part of it is what Variety was not able to do in the mid game there. I think after the first Fire Giant by Dignitas, Variety goes towards the Gold Fury. He kind of just lawbringers into 3 people, and he gets punished for it. Honestly, you got to look back at every little minute play here that basically made this game last 60 minutes.
I think the play that really did it for me was at one point, probably around the 30-minute mark, Dignitas was sieging, and they got a kill on Callus. They were in a 5v4, and they got the solo side Phoenix of Rival, and Fire Giant was up. And instead of taking the free fire, Trixtank elects to turn the corner right around where the solo T2 would be, and they blink all into them, and he dies, and they turn the 5v4 into a 4-on-4. They don't get fire as fast, and it buys Rival a ton of time to get Callus alive, and so on.
That was just an absolutely insane defense gameplay from Rival as well. You really got to hand it to those guys. Normally when a team is down 3 Phoenixes, I mean, I think myself included, all of us kind of figured that match was over around the 27th minute.
It was also Wlfy doing a great job holding his Phoenixes there, just banging on those drums there. Every time Variety would go in, he would just get pushed away, and he couldn't do his job.
Yeah, I was going to say, we pointed out the Thoths, right? And he missed a couple, but when you're defending that much, you have to do it perfectly every time. Because if you mess up once, the game will be over and you will lose instantly. And I think Wlfy had a few good ults. Ice had certainly a few good ults. I think Callus did a really nice job of keeping his carries alive and going on the front line of Dignitas as well.
And the thing that Callus even did that was surprising to me as this Fafnir is late game, he actually purchased that Soul Reaver to get even extra damage off, just really wanting to maybe blow off some of these frontliners a little harder.
Yeah, I think one of the keys to the game for me was I didn't think Dignitas had the cleanest engage. If Trix was to blink Sylvanas under the Phoenix, then he would get Fafnir stun and Raijin ulted. And with the Soul Reaver and everything else, it was really hard for him to stay alive in that. They didn't have a blink on the Cullen, so it was kind of up to tier or an immobile Sylvanas to blink under the tower, which is a little bit awkward.
And the thing is, Trixtank had so many good engagements too with that Sylvanas blink. He even found like a 4-man knockup between where that tier 2 and tier 1 in the solo lane used to be, but the rest of Dignitas just couldn't capitalize and couldn't find the kills.
I think he was finding really, really good ults in terms of just value and hitting multi-man ults. I think the problem was that Rival's comp was so good at locking people down off of the counter engage that they were able to go from target to target and force them out and not let them get the Phoenix while they were engaging.
100% of the Fire Giants completely in favor of Team Dignitas, and yet time and time again, Rival just coming up way too clutch with those defenses. And now you already know that Dignitas, you've already got to, let's just count out the tilt factor. It's a fresh restart for the team. What kind of pretty much adjustments should this team be making if they're really looking to try and bring it back?
The thing, I think they got ahead in this game, but I feel like their comps that they're running compared to what was successful for them throughout the rest of the year and in the online phases are much slower. I don't think they're snowballing as much. I feel like they're giving Rival a lot of room. I'd also say you maybe consider banning Fafnir from Kalos. It's by far his most played, most preferred god. It's the safest god that he has. He gets to engage from distance and like not ever be at threat of dying. I'd look at maybe getting rid of that.
I'll be honest, every single time we see Rival play, at least in a LAN environment, I'm pretty sure that statement comes up at least once in their sets where it's just ban the Fafnir from Kalos, make him go to something else. Totally, do you think that's going to be the case here?
I mean, that's clearly the strategy of Rival. They first picked it in the first game. Second game, they actually got it a little bit after the fact, picking Erlong and Hu Yi first and second there. So it's not something that Dignitas are prioritizing because they're banning other options. Artio and Concurrent in the first game. Second game, they wanted to take away their Osiris, considering how impactful that was for Deathwalker in game number 1. But heading into game number 3 here, the way these two teams can kind of get into each other's heads, I wouldn't count Dignitas necessarily out. If you look back at their other set here, when they were against Rival on Valencia, it was basically them up 2 games, then they lost the next 2, and then they still bounced back in game number 5.
Well, I think it's also clear that from the way Rivals play in the early game, they left Deathwalker alone in the first game and so on, that they're willing to concede a little bit of pressure on that side, and they really want the mid-game fights. So if they're going to draft like that and they're going to give you a lead in the solo side, you need to take away their option to get back in the game, and I feel like the Fafnir is doing work for them in that regard.
Well, another thing, too, that I'm kind of questioning, because you were actually discussing it a little bit while we were watching in the arena, it's the Thoth selection. You're saying that Dignitas didn't really seem like they had the greatest Phoenix Siege. What would you like to see in order to replace that? Because it's not that Zyrhoes has been having a particularly bad time.
Well, he was hitting
Thoth.
everything. I don't even think it was with his pick or just one pick. It was just their comp in general. When they were getting ahead, you need to rely on that one initiation to kill one target, and then you take a 5v4 and you have sustain.
And something else that Dignitas could be doing also is prioritizing Zero's pick a little bit earlier on.
Exactly.
Soul keeps getting banned in the secondary phase, and that's not allowed. Oh, the Morgan and the Soul from Rival is getting banned away. So I think it's time now for Dignitas to try to play around Zeros a little bit more.
I feel like if this is an online SPL set, if this was a 2-game set, you see Zeros pick in the top 3, and you see Fafnir either banned or picked by Dignitas, and I feel like those 2 keys, while they're not necessarily the problem, I'm not saying Kalos is hard carrying, I'm not saying Zeros is feeding, because he hit literally everything for the first 30 minutes of that game. I think that just the style of play isn't classic Dignitas.
And for Vote in particular as well, we didn't really get to see a whole lot out of him either, but the Hu Yi selection, I think, really came up huge, particularly in those Phoenix defenses.
Yeah.
Do you think that Dignitas is maybe going to prioritize taking that away from him?
Possibly.